this lesson, we'll briefly introduce the concept of a distributed system, which is at the core of a Hazelcast platform implementation. We'll then talk about what a serverless implementation of the Hazelcast platform looks like, and explain the advantages of serverless, especially for application developers. Finally, we'll discuss the difference between a developer deployment of Viridian and a production deployment. Hazelcast runs in a distributed computing environment. Distributed computing uses memory and CPU resources across multiple physical servers. Data and processing workload are distributed across available resources for best performance. Distributed computing provides redundancy by mirroring in-memory data on multiple group members, so that no one physical system holds the only copy of data. If one server fails, the others can pick up the workload seamlessly. From the perspective of your connecting service or application, the distributed environment looks like a single server, so you don't have to configure multiple connections to the service. Setting up the underlying server environment for a distributed system can be complex. You have to install software, build network connections, allocate sufficient resources at the system level, set up security between the cluster members and for incoming service and application connections, and other operational factors. Application developers are often not experts at this sort of operational work. If your corporate environment has an operations team, they are usually responsible for all this setup. But now the developer has to deal with the technical and bureaucratic delays that can come with working with an outside team. If the scope of the application means a change in the operational environment, for instance, you need more memory in the cluster, you have to wait for the operations team to get around to adding the memory to the servers. A developer just wants to get to work writing their application. These delays get in the way of productivity and make for frustrated developers. Cloud-based infrastructure freed developers from the corporate operational bottleneck, but now it places all the provisioning decisions back on the developer. Sure, you don't have to mess around with Linux internals, but you still have to make all the provisioning decisions, memory and CPU sizing, network and security configuration, and you have more decisions to make. What cloud vendor? What type of VM? What type of deployment zones within the cloud environment? What level of licensing for each piece of software? You may have to configure all this yourself using the cloud vendor's management tools, or you can opt for a managed service, which means you don't have to do the actual configuration, but you still have to lay out all the specifications in advance. If changes are needed to the managed service, you're once again subject to the speed of the operations team. All this operational work can be overwhelming for a developer who just wants to create their application and make it work. Enter serverless cloud deployment. Serverless products are designed to take most, if not all, of the operational burden off the developer. You sign up and you get a fully operational, fully orchestrated deployment immediately, so that you can do what you do best, write code. Design, sizing, configuration, provisioning, security maintenance, and best of all, dynamic sizing based on workload. All is provided by the product vendor. With Hazelcast Viridian Serverless, you get a completely provisioned Hazelcast platform system, ready for you to integrate into your application. You simply connect and code. No nodes, no clusters, no infrastructure to worry about. Just all the features of the Hazelcast platform at your fingertips. Viridian Serverless starts you out with 2 GB of memory absolutely free. If you need more memory or CPU, Viridian will auto-scale based on your workload and scale back when your workload drops. So you're only paying for what you actually use, and you don't have to worry about reprovisioning if the scope of your application changes or if the workload is larger than initially anticipated. A serverless Hazelcast implementation is a full-featured Hazelcast platform deployment running in a production-ready environment. So there's no more running virtual environments on your local device with sample data, only to discover that things don't work the same in production with real workloads. Viridian can meet you wherever you are in your development process and will scale with you as your application develops and matures. When you launch a Viridian serverless cluster, you have 2 options, production or development. A production cluster is a full-featured implementation of Hazelcast. The cluster starts with 3 instances of Hazelcast up and running for reliable distributed computing, as we discussed earlier in this lesson. So you have a single Hazelcast service, but there are 3 underlying nodes within your cluster. The cluster will add additional nodes as your workload increases, either CPU or memory use, and will remove those additional nodes as your load decreases. The production cluster comes with hot restart pre-configured. This means that your in-memory data is backed up to local storage associated with the cluster. If you stop and restart your cluster, the cluster will reload the data from disk, so you can resume operations right away without having to reload data from an external source. Development, on the other hand, is streamlined for fast iteration. You have a single instance of Hazelcast, which has all the functionality of a redundant cluster, but without any distributed computing overhead. A development cluster can't auto-scale. It is designed for development and test workloads as opposed to production-scaled workloads. And because developers often need to restart their application with a clean slate, no data in memory, hot restart is disabled in the development version. This also speeds up the cluster restart process. Now it's your turn. Go to viridian.hazelcast.com, sign up for an account, then follow the steps to create your own cluster. You can also refer to the Getting Started with Hazelcast Viridian documentation linked on your screen. When you get to the step of connecting your client, come back to this course and watch the next lesson.